They tell the story of the slave trade as if it began with chains and ships, but that is a lie people repeat to sleep better at night. The truth is uglier, quieter, and far more scandalous. It began not with foreign boots on African soil, but with whispers under moonlight, with envy between brothers, with hunger wearing the mask of ambition. Long before the first European ship anchored its teeth into the African coast, Africa was already breathing wealth. Gold moved through rivers like gossip. Salt was traded like medicine. Kingdoms rose, fell, and rose again, each ruled by men who understood power but feared losing it. There were wars, yes, but prisoners of war were not commodities. They were absorbed, married in, or ransomed. A captured man could become a chief. A captured woman could become royalty. No one sold human beings as objects. Not yet. Then the drought came. It did not come loudly. It arrived like a thief. Crops failed. Rivers shrank. Cattle died standing. Kings who once fed villages now begged the spirits for mercy. Hunger does something dangerous to people with power. It makes them creative. In one coastal kingdom ruled by King Amaku, a ruler loved for his wisdom and feared for his temper, foreign ships appeared like ghosts. Pale men with strange tongues and smiling eyes arrived bearing mirrors, guns, cloth dyed red as blood, and liquor that burned like fire. They did not ask for land. They did not ask for gold. They asked for people. At first, the elders laughed. People are not goats, they said. People are not yams. The foreigners smiled and waited. They were patient. They had learned that hunger speaks louder than dignity. The first deal was not called slavery. It was called exchange. The foreigners offered weapons in return for prisoners captured during war. King Amaku agreed, telling himself this was temporary. He told himself it was survival. He told himself the prisoners would have died anyway. That night, the spirits cried. The prisoners were marched to the shore, confused but not yet broken. They believed they were being relocated. When the iron collars snapped shut, the lie became truth. The ships swallowed them, and the sea closed its mouth. The twist came months later. The weapons worked too well. King Amaku's rivals fell quickly, but peace never came. Instead, the hunger for guns grew. The foreigners returned again and again, each time demanding more bodies. Soon, wars were no longer fought for land or honor, but for captives. Villages were attacked not at dawn, but at night. Children disappeared. Roads became dangerous. Trust evaporated. Then came the scandal no griot likes to sing. It was not only war captives being sold. When the supply ran low, kings turned inward. Debtors were sold. Orphans were sold. Political enemies were sold. Even relatives were sold. A man could accuse his brother of witchcraft and sell him by morning. A chief could erase a bloodline with a signature and a handshake. And the most shameful truth of all, some Africans grew rich. Gold no longer mattered. Human bodies became the new currency. Wealth was measured in how many screams your ships could carry. Palaces grew taller. Drums played louder. Festivals became grander. While the coast bled, the capital danced. The foreigners did not rule at first. They did not need to. They let African kings do the dirty work. They fed egos, crowned cowards, and armed tyrants. The slave trade was not forced open with violence. It was invited in through greed. But here is the plot twist history books bury. The moment King Amaku realized the trap, it was too late. His strongest warriors had been sold in earlier trades. His neighbors were now armed by the same foreigners. His throne rested on weapons that required more blood to maintain. When he tried to stop the trade, a rival king accused him of weakness. Civil war erupted. The foreigners watched from the sea, counting profits. King Amaku was eventually captured, chained, and sold on the very shore where he once stood as a ruler. A man who sold thousands became a number in a ledger. His name was erased. His kingdom collapsed. The sea did not remember him kindly. From that moment, the trade changed shape. The foreigners grew bolder. They built forts. They dictated prices. They demanded quotas. What began as African participation turned into African destruction. By the time people realized the truth, that the trade was never about partnership, only consumption, Africa was bleeding from 1,000 cuts. Trust between communities has been shattered. Firearms outnumbered farmers. Fear ruled where culture once stood. And still, the ships came. For centuries, millions were taken. Not because Africa was weak, but because Africa was divided. Not because Africans were ignorant, but because greed blinded leaders. not because foreigners were powerful, but because they mastered manipulation. The greatest scandal of the slave trade is not that it happened. It is that it was profitable. It paid kings. It fed empires. It built cities across oceans while villages turned to ash. And when the trade finally ended, no one returned what was stolen. The chains were removed, but the wounds were left open. Today, the echoes remain. In broken borders, in stolen histories, in names forgotten beneath foreign languages. The slave trade did not start with chains. It started with choices. Quiet ones, desperate ones, greedy ones. And that is the truth people fear most. Because it means monsters were not born overseas. They were created wherever power met hunger and chose profit over humanity.